Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm the man here that makes it all happen. Wood. I know I haven't really been that busy on my writing game the last couple of weeks. I fluctuate between the three mediums with audio podcast, YouTube live stream, and then writing or YouTube videos in general. And I've been trying to do my Friday night or Saturday morning live stream thing kind of tough. Doesn't look like I'm going to book anybody for this week, unfortunately. But a brother did try. But, it is what it is. I do appreciate those who have participated. Quickly, man, I'm going to get into this WBC situation with Saul Canelo Alvarez and this elevation or promotion to franchise champion. Just like, to me, it makes me think of franchise player or basically franchise player, whether it be the NBA or the NFL, or even over to the world of Major League Baseball. But we'll get to some of that in just a second. Quick entertainment note: I was really out of the loop, but I'll come back. I may come back and do a review of this Benny the Butcher Plugs I Met album, a new project. I believe it's been out maybe this last week. Maybe at the end of last week it came out. But I had that confused with Tana Talk 3, which was last year, and I apologize for being that far off. But the way that this Griselda group is kind of releasing projects, I'm not really sure what's a proper album and what's a mixtape, quote unquote. I haven't been to the store, and I apologize. My iTunes, my iPod is down, so like I'm just getting around to music a bit differently than what I'm really accustomed to, and how I really like to get into my music. But Plugs I Met is pretty slick, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not better than. Although it has some high powered guest features on there with Black Thought and Pusha T. It doesn't exceed what I dug on Tana Talk 3. For those that even know who the hell Benny the Butcher and Griselda Records and all of that even is. I'll come back to that later. But digging into this Canelo, and last bit of housekeeping. Pay Me No Mind and Bite Down Boxing. I know who knows if it's confusing or not, but basically, what I'm trying to do here, man, is establish kind of like a lifestyle pause. It's not Trojan, it's not Magnum, and none of that. Lifestyle, a lifestyle. It's not a website. I'm basically trying to reach out here and see if it's some cats that's on what I'm on. I know a lot of my entertainment interests aren't mainstream and aren't that popular. Not especially some of the TV stuff that I talk about, but I don't have anybody to talk to about some of this stuff, so I just throw it out there and see if anybody trips up on any of it. But it's not really. I don't want to be strictly boxing. That's why I try to separate or differentiate. About to go down. Differentiate. Pay Me No Mind stuff and Bite Down Boxing. But anyway, let me get to this. Yesterday, Bob Lee announced his retirement, and I'm getting to my boxing stuff. This ties into what I'm kind of where I am with boxing. Bob Lee of ESPN, the last 30 years, almost 28 years or whatever, announced his retirement. He's been running outside the lines over at ESPN for years now. It's something that he created. But, right now with the evolution of journalism and boxing writer, boxing journalist, internet journalist, YouTube journalist, I don't know what all this stuff is, but Bob Lee kind of, something that he said as he's getting ready to exit that industry. he said part of his goal was to keep his views. He said, I want to keep my views out of the story. And I think that's where I am with looking at boxing and how I can cover it and what lane I can occupy. It's a lot of impediments there. And then the fact that I don't do this full time, and I'm short staffed. I can't get a writer or any writers on my site to help me out, to expand and do what I want to do. So I do what I can. But unless I'm really talking about a fight prediction, an upcoming fight, or the result of a fight, I'm giving you my thoughts. That's my opinion. And I do enjoy that. But in terms of kind of like reporting boxing and being a journalist, I'm going to struggle with living up to those standards, because how the hell am I going to beat boxing scene with the story? And then you find out a lot of these sites, whether it's pick one, pick the big ones. A lot of them are press releases that are dressed up a little bit. What is news? For example, we can't even get a definitive answer on what the hell happened to Tony Harrison's foot or ankle. And I guess maybe because HIPAA standards, and it's not the NFL and it's not Major League Baseball and the NBA, so there is no real injury report. There is no formal process for discussing and revealing injuries. So I'm sitting here last week watching the Charlo fight, and we can't even get a definitive. What did you do to your foot? What happened to your foot? How did you injure yourself? And so it kind of, my frustration with this whole thing and in this situation with this franchise champion announcement, what is news in boxing? What is the standard? But like I said, for me, I look at Bob Lee's objective to keep his views out of the story, and some stuff that I'm going to talk about and some of the news that I can report and I'm able to report, I want to keep my views out of it. But my man Lazy Lefty was on he was on a live stream last month, came in and stayed a little long, but he was mentioning this on Twitter, saying, how is boxing Twitter and boxing media, how are you going to handle franchise champion? And I'm like, ultimately, and this brings to mind, there was a scene in Blood Diamond with Jamoon Hansoon or whatever his name is, and Leonardo DiCaprio. And DiCaprio said, TIA, this is Africa. Like, all of this stuff is jacked up. This continent is all jacked up because of what's been going on here for hundreds of years. And, he was kind of defending his conduct and his handling and manipulation and what he's, was coming to the country and robbing from the country and just whatever. But, just that's how he summed it up, was TIA. This is Africa. Everything goes here. And that's kind of what's up with boxing in this franchise champion announcement. This is boxing, TIB. That's what it is. So how much are we really going to, how much of an uproar are we going to get into over everything? And so I got a couple notes on the run through real quick. I'm already 9 minutes into this thing. I thought about doing a live stream. Didn't know if that was a great investment of my time. So, I'm doing it this way. But I tried to tell people a couple of months ago on a podcast, Bite Down Boxing with R.L. Woodson, that's up on the Team Left Jab Radio Network. Canelo Alvarez, there's a part in there where where Denzel Washington says, "I hate to introduce this to you. I hate to be the one to show you that this is how it is, but it's dark, it's nasty, but it's the truth. It is what it is." And he was talking about the dude that he killed, Roger. I still can't remember. I know his first name is Scott, the actor, but his dude that was a dope seller that he introduced Hoyt to at the beginning of the movie, and then he came back when he needed to dig that money up out of the floor, and they killed him. And he goes out in the car and tries to give Hoyt the money. Take your cut of the money. And he's like, that dude in there was he was a high roller. He said he's a high roller, dog. And Canelo Alvarez is a high roller, dog. Like, he sells this franchise champion, and it takes him, off a collision course or a mandated collision course with Jamal Charlo, who was elevated to full champion with the wand of the WBC. And I know I might be a little all over the place, but I'm going to try to get through these last couple points in an orderly fashion. But this is no surprise here. I mean, I asked this question before. How does a boxer sign a 10-fight deal, 5 years, for $360 or $335 million, whatever it was? And how do you do that? And he's not going to be managed to get through the majority of that without losing, more than 1 or 2 fights. And so he by nature of what he is and who he is, he's going to be doing events, quote unquote, for the rest of his career. He's above and outside of, much like Floyd Mayweather Jr., he's above and beyond and outside of championship belts. They're nice to help with the promotion of these events and to give them some structure. But at the end of the day, he exists on a plane above and beyond this because he's a high roller. He puts people on airplanes. He gets people to reserve hotel rooms. He gets people to gamble. He gets people to, he sells airplane tickets. He sells, he gets people to buy burgers and pizzas, special or signature burgers and pizzas at the spots in, Vegas. Like, he does all of that. He helps people in Vegas. He helps that community. He drives money in that local economy. They're not going to risk that they're just not going to risk that with any fight. You know this. I'm not telling you something you don't know. So what again, what I was telling my man Lazy Lefty, can I get Mauricio Suleiman on the phone? Can I interview him? Can I get him on my podcast? Can I get him on my live stream? Probably not. Can I get a quote from him to sit down and write an article? Well, how many people are going to click on that? What is that really going to do me? What is that the investment of that time? What is that going to do for me? So how much energy and time do I really invest with that situation? I expect Dan Rayfield. I expect XM Boxing the next time that they have Suleiman on there, instead of it being a hug fest and a love fest, I expect them to get to the bottom of some of this. And I read the 4 or 5, the prerequisites or the conditions of this title, this franchise champion, this team MVP. I didn't even understand what that meant. But I got to digging a little bit. How much time do I even want to dig into this for the 12 people, the 2 that I know that'll probably watch, 6 minutes of this. But how much do I even want to get into this? But the WBC is bugging anyway. But it's funny because we only really talk about this stuff and rail about this stuff when it suits us, when it serves us. But right here at the same time, What the hell was the WBC gonna? They put this pearl belt together when Khan was gonna face whatever Noryat or, and I'm sorry, I don't even remember what his name was because I never understood what the fight was about besides money. Noraj Goyet, or whatever my man's name is, who was in the car accident. Now he's not gonna fight, and Billy Dib is in place. So then today, right there on Boxing Scene, Billy Dib, they say that the WBC says that the vacant WBC international belt for 147 pounds, the winner of this fight, Amir Khan and Billy Dib, will get this, and I guess the pearl belt went away. And now up for grabs is the WBC international belt for 147 pounds. And the winner of it will automatically be the 5th ranked welterweight. We all saw the last appearance for Amir Khan, right? And he fought at welterweight and got demolished. TV ratings were bad. Ticket sales, I guess, were okay, relatively okay, I guess. But now here you are fighting for another title of some kind. And then you're going to, if you win, which you should be expected to do, you're somehow a top 5 welterweight in the WBC. Like, this is almost as heinous in my opinion. But let's look into Billy Dib for a second. This ain't no crack investigative work right here. I mean, there's a little bit of time spent on BoxRec in between it not loading certain pages for me. But Billy Dib's name looked pretty familiar too. He just, in August of 18, he just got demolished, convincingly beaten by Tevin Farmer for the vacant IBF junior lightweight title that Farmer now holds and has defended a couple of times. Junior lightweight, 130 pounds, you know that. And now here it is. Then back in April, Dib had a first round. I thought he announced he was retiring after the Farmer fight. But he comes back in April and gets a first round knockout over some cat at lightweight, 135 pounds. Now here we go to fast forward to today. This Goryat dude has to withdraw because of an injury and in a significant car crash. And in steps Billy Dib, who says, I've been watching Amir Khan. And now he's been inserted as the opponent. And up for grabs is this international belt and the 5th slot on the WBC rankings. I'm struggling with what the hell who cares? I mean, it's Amir Khan. Like, you never even met. And then Khan is looking forward to fighting, to possibly fighting and capping his career with Manny Pacquiao. This is boxing. Said this before. This is boxing. Part of it. And this is why I kind of occupy the lane that I occupy and do what I set out to do and stay in my lane, because it'll take time to attack all of this and just debunk and dispel and tear down all this. And that's a full-time job. You need that Ferrata cat that was investigating Barry Bonds for like 5 years. I don't know what happened to him. Fenaru or Ferrata. Used to cover a lot of baseball stuff, but then I got to looking because I was kind of confused on what Mayweather was looking back into some of it, and I'm not even trying to say what's factual here because it got to look. I ran out of time, but Mayweather had a WBC, again the WBC super welterweight title in the rematch versus Marcos Maidana. but it wasn't up for grab. It wasn't listed among the belts for the first fight. And I never really remember Floyd defending a 154-pound belt. I know he beat Miguel Cotto, I believe, for the WBA super welterweight belt. A couple fights later or whatever, he has the fight with the catchweight fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez, the aforementioned Canelo Alvarez, who had the WBC title, and I believe the ring maybe. But I guess because it was a catchweight, he didn't pick up the WBC belt in that fight. But then, like I said, in the rematch versus Maidana, somehow the WBC super welterweight title is up for grabs in that fight. So again, I didn't even feel like, once I looked at it and I clicked on a few things and was like, what's going on here? I'm like, man, of course Canelo is the franchise champion. The middleweight? What is he? The middleweight franchise? Yeah, middleweight, because Jamal was elevated to full champion. So again, man, all this stuff is confusing. Going back to work some Monday mornings, you can't even explain this stuff to coworkers who are starting to see a lot of boxing on ESPN, and they people are asking me questions and approaching me. Some of this stuff, man, I don't know, man. I mean, and again, if I can't get certain people on my podcast, and this is not complaining, and crying and whining, but again, it's an investment of my time. Like, should I waste making multiple calls to the WBC? Now, if I'm at an event and I encounter Mauricio Sulaiman, then I can have at it, I guess, if he stops and talks. But again, it's people out here that have this access, and I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. About to hit 25 minutes in 2.5 minutes. But to try to pound on my chest and say I'm a boxing writer, I'm a boxing journalist. I reported the story. How can you take something from boxing scene and report it? So I guess, man, I'm comfortable with who I am, what I do. I enjoy what I've been able to, the fights that I've been able to cover, even the card stuff, the club shows that I do here locally, and in this region. That might be as good as it gets. I was honored. It was one fight I went. The only major fight I went to this year was the May 11th fight with, the title defense of Unified Champion Jared Hurd and Julian Williams. And I had circled that one, and I was initially declined on that one, and I fought to get to go to that one. And it might go down as the fight of the year. And I was honored to put together a story on that. I attended the weigh-in, and that might be the highlight of my year in this game. I guess the fight tomorrow night in Cincinnati that I mentioned last week, I think that's no more. It looks like it may have fallen apart. But again, man, I'm just, it's a lifestyle channel, man. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment, with some bite down boxing bits sprinkled in on the playlist, man. That's really all I can do. So that's it, man. This franchise champion, you tell me what it is. I mean, like I said, I read the 4 or 5 bullet points that were included in the article, and basically it gives him the freedom to exist, operate, earn money, and the zone. The zone has a lot tied up in this investment for them. So if it's a fight against the Smith kid, the Callum Smith, or Kovalev, like I said, he'll be competing and participating in events, and they'll look a certain way. They'll be enticing, and hopefully, any move they make isn't biting off more than they can chew. And this is boxing. Some more This Is Boxing stuff. Looking at the rematch that's being put together with Andy Ruiz, unified heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz Jr., the Destroyer, and Anthony Joshua. I'm trying to get a sense of what's going on there, because it's a pivotal fight for Anthony Joshua. And we keep getting Eddie Hearn saying, Joshua wants to come back to Madison Square Garden and right the wrong. No, he doesn't. I don't believe that. I don't really believe that. But the business of boxing might dictate that this man, who once held all the leverage and all this power, and was operating with immunity, like Roger, a high roller dog, in training day, is now that the wheels have fallen off. The Zone is sitting here again. The Zone needs what the Zone needs, and it might be to this brother's peril. But this is boxing, man, and all of this stuff gets worked out. Let me get ready to get on off of here, man. This is way longer than what it should have been, and but again, those that make it here, they make it here. Those that don't, they don't. But you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And have a wonderful. I probably won't be back on here unless I do some recaps of the Jamal Charlo and Brandon Adams fight Saturday night. I'm kind of looking forward to that one. I thought Adams, his tail of the tape numbers at middleweight just really don't excite me a whole lot. But the brother's story is phenomenal. The reclamation that he's been undergoing the last year or so, and getting on to the Contender and whatnot. All of that's very dope. Him conducting himself like a man and and a professional today at the press conference. And the automatic claims of he's just happy to be here. Like what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to not be himself to sell you on this fight? When has he conducted himself in that manner? Like, if you saw him on the Contender, what was he gonna do at the press conference to really sell the fight, quote unquote? Like that's Brandon Adams. He's a happy going guy, but he competes well in the ring. And height wise, I guess I'm looking something similar to what we saw with Jamal and Bundridge, in a way. But don't dig in right there. Don't stick a pin in that. That's just off the head. Like I said, his tail of the tape at middleweight, doesn't it? Well, and actually they met at super welterweight, where I would be more excited about this fight. But it is what it is. Good to see Erickson Lubin putting things back together and continuing to reposition himself for another shot at a world title. Seeing the Julian Williams situation, he should be very motivated and optimistic about what's capable for him coming off of the knockout to Jamel, the first round knockout. But let me get on off of here, man. About to hit 30 minutes. People left like 23 minutes ago, or 29 minutes and 40 seconds ago. So again, man, enjoy yourself.